Hello, and welcome to York Comprehensive High School's 2017 to 2018 school year orientation for upperclassmen and for freshmen. I'm Mr. Snyder, I'm an assistant principal here, and today I'm going to be walking you through a very brief but very informative presentation concerning two hot topics that have plagued our students' success over the last couple of years. I'm talking about attendance and TARDIES. I'm going to go over some very important information with you about this, how it works, and how it may be different than what you've experienced at the middle school if you are an incoming freshman. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to be covering a couple of topics today that are very important to your success as a high school student. For you upperclassmen, some of this may be familiar to you. Some of it will be brand new, especially the piece on our new TARDY policy. For incoming freshmen, all of this will be brand new, so we hope that you get something out of it. Today we're going to be looking specifically at attendance and TARDY policies with an attempt to answer two very important questions. Number one, how do they differ from middle school to high school? And even more importantly, how do the high school policies affect me academically? I'd like to first go back and review the middle school attendance policy and just kind of go over some of the highlights of that policy for you incoming freshmen, or maybe for you upperclassmen that may have forgotten. At the middle school, you were allowed 5 excused absences for a semester-long course, that's an 18-week course, and you were allowed 10 unexcused absences for a year-long course. After 10 absences, they become evaluated and approved individually by an administrator, and any student who reports to school prior to 11:30 would be marked present for that entire school day. You will notice that is markedly different at the high school level. So let's talk about what is specifically different about high school attendance policy. First of all, let's look at course types. Your 9-week courses at the high school level, for example, American Government and Economics, you are allowed up to 3 unexcused absences and unlimited medical absences with proper excuse. Your semester-long courses, which are most of the courses you would take in high school, which are 18 weeks in length, you are allowed up to 5 unexcused absences and unlimited medical absences with proper documentation. And for the rare year-long course, that would be some of our AP courses, you are allowed up to 10 unexcused absences, 5 per semester, which is unlimited medical, again, with proper documentation. So the question becomes, what actually constitutes an absence? At the high school level, once a student has missed 20 minutes of a class, they are absent, regardless of whether they report for the remainder of the class period. For example, at York Comprehensive High School, first block begins at 8:40 a.m. If a student reports to class any time after 9 a.m., they will be marked absent for the entire period of that particular day. At the high school level, attendance is taken per class. In our current model, we are on a 4x4 block schedule. Your student will attend 4 classes per day. First block, second block, third block, and fourth block. If a student shows up at 11:50, that student will be marked absent for first and second block and present for third and fourth block. This is different from the middle school policy, which would mark a student present for showing up for only half the day. Because we take attendance block by block, they would be given credit for the times they were there and would not receive credit for the classes that they were not. Once your child has exceeded the maximum number of unexcused absences, which I remind you, the maximum number of unexcused absences per course at the high school level is 5, that student has now entered the FA status for this course. Which leads to the question, what exactly is an FA? The letters FA stand for failure due to absences. Once a child has entered FA status, they are failing the class regardless of their actual numeric grade in that course. First question that may pop up for you as a parent or for your child, is an FA permanent? Well, that's kind of complicated. The short answer is no, but the answer could become yes. Allow me to explain. FAs can be cleared in several ways. Number one, and most common way to clear an FA for excessive unexcused absences is to bring in certified medical notes from a doctor, from a dentist, so on and so forth. Please be advised, these need to be authentic medical notes. Our attendance clerk will follow up and check on the medical notes to make sure that they are valid. If they are not valid, not only will your child not receive credit for the absences, but you could stand the risk of getting yourself in trouble, since forging medical notes is in fact illegal. The other way you can do this is by making up your time through after-school attendance recovery, Saturday school, and/or summer school. Any combination of these may help you clear your time and get yourself out of FA status. If a student does not clear their time, an FA becomes permanent and they will fail the course despite their actual numeric average. Let's dive deeper into what it means to clear your time. At YCHS, every block or class period lasts for 90 minutes, which is the equivalent of 1.5 hours. Once a student exceeds 5 unexcused absences, they will owe 90 minutes of makeup time per block that they went over the allowed number of absences. Please remember that attendance is tracked per class at York Comprehensive High School. Confused yet? Let's look at some examples together. We're going to take a look at 2 student profiles concerning absences, grades, and how attendance can be cleared. Our first sample student is named Tim Cooper. Let's take a look at Tim's course schedule. Tim has English first block, Physical Science second block, World Geography third block, and Physical Education fourth block. His actual grades in these courses are pretty good. He currently has a B in English 1, an A in Physical Science, a C in World Geography, and an A in Physical Education. His actual numeric grades for each of the 4 courses is in fact passing. Now let's take a look at Tim's absences and how they can affect his grades. In his first block course, Tim has missed a total of 7 days. He has missed a total of 5 days in his second block course, a total of 4 days in his third block World Geography, and wow, look at that, 12 absences in fourth block. Tim does not like to come to school in the afternoon, it would appear. So, from his total absences, let's examine how many of these are medical. In his first block class, Tim has a total of 3 medical absences. So what you would have to think in your head is, I'm going to subtract the number of medical absences from the total number of absences, which means Tim has 4 unexcused absences in his first block English course. The allowable number is 5, so in this case, Tim is fine and he owes no time for English 1. In his second block class, he's missed a total of 5 days, but again, 3 of those days were medical, which means he has 2 unexcused absences in Physical Science, and because that's less than 5, Tim owes no time for Physical Science. Same thing for World Geography. He has 4 total absences, 3 are medical, which means 1 is unexcused, and Tim owes no time for World Geography. Here's where his problem starts. Tim has 12 total absences for fourth block Physical Education. 3 of these 12 absences are medical, which means his total number of unexcused absences equals 9. Remember, you are allowed 5 unexcused absences per course. Take 5 away from 9, and Tim has missed a total of 4 unexcused days in Physical Education. If you multiply 4 total days by the 1.5 hours per day he missed, that means that for Tim to get credit for his fourth block class, he's going to have to attend makeup school for a total of 6 hours. That can be achieved through a combination of after-school attendance recovery, Saturday school, and if necessary, summer school. This is more than doable, but remember, if you don't make up your time, you will not receive credit for a course. Tim is a mild example of attendance issues. Let's take a look at a more extreme example with our second student profile. We're now going to look at another student profile for a student named Sandra Johnson. You will notice that Sandra has a very similar course schedule and grade makeup as Tim did. Same 4 classes, same grades in all 4 classes. The difference comes in with Sandra's total absences, which you can see are quite extreme compared to Tim. In first block, Sandra has missed a total of 17 days. In second block, a total of 12 days. In third block, a total of 8. And in fourth block, a total of 7. Sandra has 0 medical absences for these courses, which means that all of her absences in each course are classified as unexcused. So let's look at the breakdown. In first block, Sandy has missed a total of 17 days, and 5 of those are excused, which means she has 12 total unexcused absences that are unaccounted for. For Sandy to make this time up, she would have to serve a total of 18 hours in English 1 of makeup time to clear this course. For second block, she's missed a total of 12 days, 5 allowed, which leaves her with 7 unexcused absences, or 7 absences over the allowed number. 7 times 1.5 equals 10.5 hours of makeup time. And then for third block and fourth block respectively, 4.5 hours and 3 hours of makeup time. In summary, Sandy's present situation looks like the following. If the semester were to end today, despite her passing status in each class based on her actual grade, Sandy would fail every single class until she made up the hours owed, which currently totals 36 hours. Let's recap and summarize. At the high school level, attendance is taken by block, which means per class. Missing 20 minutes or more of a class period means that you are absent. Whether you show up at minute 21 or minute 81, you are absent. Attendance issues can prevent you from passing a course and can possibly prevent you from promoting to the next grade level. And finally, please remember, there are opportunities throughout the year for you to recover time made up. Let's shift gears for just a minute and talk about the YCHS TARDY policy, which is new this year, codenamed the lockout policy. First of all, let's look at what constitutes a TARDY. At YCHS, students are given 6 minutes in between classes to move from one to the next. A student is considered tardy if they are not in their classroom by the conclusion of the ringing of the tardy bell. Each class features three bells rang at various times. The first bell is named the dismissal bell. This bell signals the end of one class and the beginning of movement to another. For example, first block at York Comprehensive High School ends at 10:10. A bell will ring at 10:10 to signal the end of first block and the beginning of second block. Second block would actually begin at 10:16, 6 minutes after the ringing of the dismissal bell. The second bell a child will hear in between classes is known as the warning bell. The warning bell rings 3 minutes into the 6-minute period and is indicating to the child that they now have 3 minutes to get to their next class. And finally, the tardy bell. The tardy bell will ring at the 6-minute mark. If a student is not in their next class, they will be locked out. Quite literally, we've instructed our teachers that at the ringing of the tardy bell, when it is finished ringing, they must shut and lock their door, and they are not to admit students into the room. At this point in time, your child will be tasked with the job of going to one of our check-in stations with their student ID, scanning their ID, which will issue them a pass to class, but also denote that they have been tardy. Let's take a look quickly at consequences for tardies. This is different this year, so even you upperclassmen need to pay attention to this. The first time your child is tardy, they will receive a verbal warning from their teacher. The second time your child is tardy to a class, they will receive a warning and a written letter home between parent and student. The third tardy will get them 1-day lunch detention and a parent phone call from our student services coordinator, Mr. Sean Pettis. The fourth tardy will result in after-school detention and a parent phone call. And then the fifth tardy and every tardy thereafter will result in an after-school detention and a parent conference. Special notes, every tardy after the fifth will receive the same exact discipline, which is an after-school detention and a parent conference. Tardies are recorded per class, just like absences. It is possible to be tardy to one class and not the other. Please note that we will hold students accountable based on this policy you see before you. If an after-school detention inconveniences your child or you, remember, it is your child's fault that they were tardy. They inconvenienced the teacher, so we will inconvenience them. And in summary, just want to point this out, that attendance and punctuality are very important to your success in high school. We want your child to experience great success while they're here, and we want their achievement levels to go higher than they ever have before. To do this, they must be on time and punctual for each class every day. We are preparing them for college and for adulthood by training them in these very simple areas. As I'm sure you adults in the room know, there are very few scenarios in the adult world where being late is acceptable. Or as one of my former coaches used to say, early is on time and on time is late. Accountability, at the end of the day, is ultimately on your student. I hope you found this presentation to be informative and helpful. If you have any questions, we would like to open the floor up for a little open Q&A at this time. Feel free to ask me anything that you might be unclear on, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Go Cougars.